Hey guys, in this video we're going to be talking about functions, one of the most important concepts to understand in Python. So believe it or not, we've been using functions all the time. In the last video when I went over the print and I'm able to print the number 5, that's a function, right? So input as well. You can tell by kind of the purple text here. So what is a function? Well, a function, it takes an input and it takes an out and it outputs an output. That's all it does. Some functions, they might take no input and they might output a lot. Some functions, they might take in a lot of inputs and output very few output, if that makes any sense. We'll go over an example. So let's jump into it. Remember last video, I had this, this question of mine of this problem. I kind of have a name variable that gets set to the input, right? Like, what is your name? And Mike. And I had the problem of, well, I wanted to kind of, print greetings, my name, in this case be greetings Mike. But it's pretty repetitive to do this if I did this for Bill again. So a function, we can use a function. And a function is used to reduce the amount of repeated code we need to have, right? Say I wanted to do this again for Bill, for Jenny, for Rob, however many names I need to do this, I need to type out the same lines of code. A function makes code non-repeatable, so we don't have to repeat it. We only have to write it once and then use it. So how do we use a function? Well, we have to start off with this def keywords, and that stands for define, right? We are going to define a function. In this case, I'm going to have the name of my function, greetings, right? I want to say, okay, greetings whoever. That's what I want to do. Now, I have greetings. Now, this is where this parentheses here, and as you've seen here with this print 5, this is where we kind of put our input to the function. But in this case, we're not going to have an input to the function. We will have a slight variation of it, but let me just show you what it's like not to have input. Def greetings, and let me just walk through how to go about non-repeating code. We're going to have name, again, the whole point of this function and function in general, to reduce the amount of code we have to write. Name equals input name, and I'm going to say print greetings name. And then we press enter again, done. So we told Python, hey, listen, we have this function named greetings. We want to make that. And whenever we call this, we're going to execute these lines of code. That's it. So if I type in greetings, and again, because I don't take any input, although I don't take any input, I still need to kind of put these parentheses here to let it know that I'm still not going to take in any input. So greetings, I call it. And again, what is it going to do? It's going to execute the same code. This time I'm going to say Sally. Greetings, Sally. That's it. I don't have to repeat any code. My life is easier. I don't necessarily take in an input, but I kind of output an output. Now let's explore with input though. Say I already know the name of the person I want to greet. Well, I could just say greetings, and I'm going to name it differently, right? Because if I name the same thing, I'm going to overwrite this. I'm going to replace the value of that. So I'm going to say greetings with name. That'll be the new name of my function. And this time I'm going to take in a parameter called name. So I'm going to take in the name now, and all I have to do is say print greetings name. So say I were to know the person's name beforehand. Say I were to know Billy, for example. Well, I pass in Billy, and just follow this, right? Greetings with name. Instead of name, it's not going to be Billy. And I take name and I say greetings name. So that's how you can take in an input. Now, what happens if we want to kind of store the output of what we're dealing with into a variable? Say, I really like this greetings message. It's super warm, super lovely. I want to save this forever in a variable and, call it whenever I want and really remind myself how welcome I feel with this greetings variable, right? Well, the problem with print, let's try doing this. Let's try setting a variable name equal to greetings with name, Billy, right? We get that output, but x isn't going to be equal to anything, right? If we do x, it's going to be blank. Now, why is that? Because we're not outputting a value, right? A function can, it takes in an input, outputs an output, but the input can be non-existent and the output could be non-existent. In this case, the output is non-existent. I'm printing name, and that's it. I'm not saying this is what I'm returning. So what I can do instead is I'm going to modify this again, and I'm going to say print greetings with name return, right? I'm just going to, this is a different name for the variable. And now I'm going to return this. I'm going to return greetings plus name. So now when I try this, Let's see what happens. So greetings with name Mike, with name return. It outputs greetings Mike, but that's because I have this return variable, and as we mentioned in idle, return and print are kind of synonymous in idle itself. We'll get to files in the next video. So now with this, I can now set a variable name equal to it because I'm returning it. When I use return, I'm doing output. There we go. And now I say X, greetings Mike. Now I can say this forever and cherish this lovely message for the rest of time. Now, one thing to note, once I do return, that's it. My function's over. Because at the end of the day, I take in an input and I output an output. Once I output the output, I'm done. So if I have this other, thing right here, it says, print yo or something like that. If I do this, that's it. Like once I hit return, I'm done. I'm not executing any code after that. So keep that in mind. And here's just another example to the left right here. I define add three numbers. It's a function that adds three numbers together, A, B, C. You can name your inputs whatever you want. It's up to the user to output them. Or no, sorry, not to output them, but to specify them rather. So let me do this function right here. Again, add three numbers. I'm kind of doing the def, define, adding and making the name of it, specifying my inputs, A, B, C, doing a colon, and now I'm indented, right? So I'm indented. It kind of indicates some hierarchy of code, meaning that everything in here is going to belong to the add three numbers. And what am I doing? I'm returning A plus B plus C. Oh wait, that's the wrong C there. Lowercase. And again, I can do this. I could say sum is equal to, actually sum is a keyword already used by Python. So I'm going to do sum with two M's. 1, 2, 3. And now sum variable has these three parameters, 1, 2, 3. So that's how that works. That's how functions work. In the next video, we'll talk about using files and not idle. All right, see you guys in the next video.